Hi everyone and welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to learn how to use the SUMIF and SUMIFS functions in Excel, and we'll be working through some examples. These are some of the most useful and most used functions in Excel and will allow us to work with dynamic results. For this tutorial, I prepared a workbook with all the examples we are going to see. You can download it from the link in the description. Let's start by talking a little bit about how these functions work. The SUMIF function is used to obtain the sum of all the cells in a range that meet a certain condition. The first input it requires is the range. This is a range of cells you want to evaluate to see if they meet a certain criteria. The second input is the criteria. This is the condition to be met. It can be in the form of a number, a formula, or a text. The third one is the sum range. These are the cells to be summed when the criteria is met. Let's see some example to make this clear. In this example, we'll be working with this hypothetical sales report, and we'll be filling these metrics using the SUMIF and SUMIFS functions. For the first example, we want to know the total sales for each salesperson. This is a clear case when we want to use the SUMIF function, because we have a list of data, and we want to sum only those that fit a certain condition. In this case, the salesperson name. So we start by typing SUMIF. And then for the range, we will select the range of cells that contain the name of the salespeople, because that's the criteria we want to filter by. Then we'll specify the criteria. In this case, we want to get all the cells that are equal to a certain name, in this case, Emily. And the last input is the sum range. These are the cells with the actual values to be summed. So what the function is doing is it is first selecting the reference range we gave it. Then, when we specify the criteria, it will identify within that range which cells meet that condition. And then from the sum range we selected, it will add up all the cells that correspond to those that met the criteria from the initial range. And now we can copy and paste the formula for the remaining salespeople and get the total for each one. For the second exercise, we want the total sales by product type. So what we are going to do is very similar, but instead of filtering by names, we'll filter by product type. So we start by typing SUMIF, then for the range we'll select the column with the products types, the criteria will be the product name at the left, and the sum range will be the amount column again. And we can copy and paste the formula for the other products, just like before. Make sure you are fixing the cells properly for it to work when you copy and paste. Before we move to the next example, let's see the SUMIFS function. The SUMIFS function works very similarly, but you'll be able to provide several conditions, and the structure is a bit different. The first input it requires is the sum range. Again, these are the actual cells to be summed. Then it needs the range for the first criteria. This again is the range to be evaluated. Then the first criteria, which is the condition to be met by the first range. And you can give it as many conditions as desired. For each condition, you'll need to specify a range and a criteria, and always in that order. For this example, we'll be working with dates, and we want the total sales for each month. Please note that these cells that show the month's names actually contain dates. These are the first day of each month, in this case the 1st of January. But I am using a custom format, so it will display the month name, and you can do that by using this custom format syntaxis. If you want to know more about custom formats, let me know in the comments. So here we want all the sales between the first and the last day of each month. We start by typing SUMIFS, and the sum range will be the amounts column. The first criteria range will be the dates column, and the first criteria will be that they are larger than the first day of the month, which is the input we have in the cell to the left. The second criteria range will be, again, the dates column, and the second condition will be for them to be lower than the last day of the month. For this, we'll use the EOMonth function that returns the last day of the month. And again, if we fix the formula correctly, we can copy and paste for the other months. For this example, we used the same criteria range twice, but of course we can use different criteria ranges, and now we'll see a couple of examples like that. In the next example, we want the total sales by person for each month. So we type SUMIFS and select the amounts column as the sum range. Then the first criteria range will be the salesperson column, and the criteria will be the person's name to the left. Then for the months, we'll do the same we did in the previous example. We'll select the dates column as the second criteria range, and the second condition will be that they are greater or equal to the first of the month. That is the input we have above. The third criteria range will be again the dates column. And now the condition is that they are lower than or equal to the last day of the month. We make sure that everything is fixed correctly and we can copy and paste across the entire section. The next exercise is very similar, but instead of salesperson, we want the total sales for each product by month. So we can actually copy and paste the formula from the previous example and tweak it for this one. We'll just change the dates from the previous table to the ones in this table, although they are the same in this case. And we'll change the second criteria range from the salesperson column to the products column. And again, we can copy and paste for the entire section. In the next exercise, we want the total sales both by person and by product. So we'll use the same logic. We select the sum range as the amounts column. And the first condition will be that the salesperson's column matches the name to the left in the table. And the second condition will be that the product be the same as the product name at the top of the table. In the last example, we'll use all three conditions we've seen today. So we created this little table where we can select any specific input for the month, the salesperson, and the product type, and we'll obtain the total sales for the selected inputs. Again, we start by typing SUMIFS and selecting the amounts columns from the sales report table as the sum range. Then for the month, we'll do what we did previously, and we'll sum the dates that are larger than or equal to the first day of the month. Then the ones that are smaller than or equal to the last day of the month. The next condition will be for the salesperson name to be the same as the one from the input above. And lastly, we'll select the product types that match the product type from the input cell above. And now we can easily switch between months, names, and products, and we'll get the result for the total sales instantly. That's it for this tutorial. Thank you for watching. I hope it was useful for you. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.